Welcome back. I just read something that's really disturbing, and that's why I wanted to make this video quick because, you know, I'm not the biggest rap historian of all time, hip hop historian, should I say, but I really, really thoroughly enjoy the genre. I've tried to go back from, all the way from its beginnings, the Sugar Hill Gang and Rapper's Delight and all that, to, I try to mess with the modern stuff. It's not my favorite, especially drill rap. It's just not doesn't really speak as very much to me personally. I know it speaks to a lot of other people. That's why it's the most dominant genre of music out there. But I just read something that literally made me so mad. I set this up to just do a video. Okay, and I just read the top 50 diss tracks. I'm not going to tell you where I read it because I don't want to give these people the clicks or the money that they'll get through ad revenue by you finding it. So if you want to go find it yourself. But I just want to go over what they picked for the top 3 tracks. Okay, I don't follow, like I say, hip hop perfectly, so I don't know like all the battles. I'm sure there was ones that were overlooked in this top 50. But I generally knew what was going to be number 1 or number 2, or so I thought. I figured that they, having recency bias, would put Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us number 1, which they did. Not Like Us is great. Not Like Us is an all-time great track, especially a diss track. I mean, it was just performed on the freaking Super Bowl. It was freaking awesome. I got to watch it with my family. My father and my mother are still alive. They're much older, and they were sitting there going, "What the hell is this?" And I'm sitting around dancing, going, "Here it comes. He's gonna call him a pedophile." Wop wop, And sure enough, he did, and I had to explain to my parents what the whole beef battle was about, and they're like, "Well, damn, like he just put that guy out there on blast." And I was like, "Yeah," I was like, it's an all time in your face track, in hip hop history, and I had no problem with it being in the top 3. Absolutely no problem with it being in the top 3. Actually, number 1 or number 2 would be fine. I personally believe it should have been no higher than number 2, but that's a personal opinion. Where I have issue with this fucking list, you see, it's starting to get me agitated, is that they essentially the top 3 tracks were Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, number 2, Takeover by Jay-Z, and number 3, Ether by Nas. There is no fucking way that Nas's Ether is number 3 under Jay-Z's Takeover. There is absolutely no way. I am a white dude from the middle of America, and we white people around here still say you've been ethered if if you destroy somebody in some way or something. It has that big a cultural cachet, and I feel that the only reason that Takeover got to be number 2 is because, first off, it's produced by Kanye West. Second off, it's by Jay-Z, who's a billionaire now, married to Beyonce, so we gotta have him higher on the list because of cultural cachet. No, that's bullshit. He fired the first shot, and Nas responded with Ether, which is one of the all-time, in my opinion, the diss track of all diss track. I mean, I never looked at Jay-Z the same after I heard that song. I never did. Like, any of the albums I've followed, any of the people he worked with, I literally would smirk and be like, that guy is a walking entity now, because he is not a human being. His human body has been destroyed, cast aside, thrown to the heap of history. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he had, Kingdom Come, he had Black Album, all the Blue Album. Like, I get it, the Blueprint, should I say, and Kanye came out later. He had his own big career, which I'm going to be honest with you, I've never been the biggest Kanye fan. I've never been the biggest Kanye fan ever. I've enjoyed some of his music, but he has never been like the guy for me like he is for a lot of others. I don't understand the appeal, but that's a whole nother video that we'll work on down the line. This is specifically, though, about those diss tracks. Ether was so biting, so brutal, that, like, I remember I listened to, the first time I heard it at a friend's house, you had, like, back in the day, it was Kazaa, or so it was Napster, then Kazaa, and, like, LimeWire, all these things that you downloaded. I don't know if it was Napster or Kazaa, but it was one of those two. That we're talking, like, 2000, 2001, like, right when it's come out. And I had a real good friend who was into hip-hop, and it's how I got turned on to, like, Deltron 3030, and one of my favorite groups ever, Wu-Tang. You know, especially the solo projects by the Wu-Tang members are fucking incredible. But again, that's a video for another time. We're talking just diss tracks. And so we downloaded Ether because, you know, it wasn't on an album proper. It was a response to a track, an album track from the Blueprint from Jay-Z. So Jay-Z puts out a track that everyone can hear when you buy the album, basically saying he stole the limelight from Nas, that he makes more money than Nas. Like, that's the only thing that fucking matters in this world, is how much money you make. And I understand, you know, from you know, minority communities and all that, that the braggadociousness and talking shit on your rivals is like, you know, the big way, showing you driving a Benz, showing your, you know, got, back in the day it was 20-inch rims, you know, all that sort of stuff people talking about. It was like, it was a way to brag and beat your chest and be like, I'm better than you. But I, like, to this day, how can you say Ether is below Takeover? Nobody says, oh man, he just took him over. He just took over. Nobody says that. People say you've been ethered when you've been destroyed. You know, like when Eminem destroyed MGK with their little rap battle. Like, nobody says took over. Oh, you took over, man. Oh no, you say you got ethered. So, you know, I wanted to put this video out there to say that I'm an East Coast rap fan. To be perfectly honest, I got my bias. I love Biggie. I love Wu-Tang. I love Nas especially. You know, I really, really have always dug the Eastern sound. It's, I feel like, especially West Coast is very kind of militant and a lot angrier than, you know, I mean, and, you know, not, we're talking about as far as like generalities. Of course, there's going to be introspective rap and stuff done on the West Coast. You know, you think of Dre or the DOC or, you know, Snoop Dogg has some great fun and play with the way he's rapping. You know, a little more comedy and stuff like that. It's fine. West Coast rap is good. Don't get me wrong. I bang that stuff too. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm in more of an East Coast guy. I'm more of an East Coast rap fan. Always have been. You know, if we played it right now, I could rap the whole Biggie Juicy. I know every lyric to that song. I love that song. And you know, this is all getting on a diatribe, but I'm just like, to see this revisionist history, this bullshit that's like, oh, well, because Jay-Z's a billionaire now and he's married to Beyonce, which, you know, Beyonce wouldn't have half the fucking career she has if Aaliyah wouldn't have died in that freaking plane accident. And that is a personal opinion I've always had. Aaliyah was the bigger personality. She was I feel personally she had a better voice. She certainly had better style. But we didn't get to see her come to fruition. And in that vacuum, here stands Beyonce, you know? And it's just, you know, the pairing of Jay-Z and Beyonce, it's like everyone has to forget history. And it's like, fuck that, I was fucking there. No. Nas destroyed Jay-Z head-to-head in a rap battle. I was there, I saw it, I heard it, and I'm not going to let some new magazine written by some 22-year-old or whatever come up with some bullshit that, you know, just because they're in love with Kanye West production and all this sort of stuff, that they're going to try to take away what we heard. We all heard Jay-Z take that man's heart and spike it on the freaking ground in front of him. And, you know, it's very telling that, you know, Jay-Z really never had anything more to say. Like, they left the battle at that because, yeah, Nas had the last word. So, you know, I know I'm kind of coming off really hot. I dropped a lot of F-bombs in this one. It's just really pissed me off. And you know, and that's probably why they wrote it the way they did. I'm sure they did. They ranked it because anyone who knows anything about hip hop history knows Nas won that battle. Okay, Nas won that battle, and it doesn't matter who Jay-Z became in the end, all the money he made in the end, all the influence he commands in the end. That doesn't matter. In 2000, or I think it was 2000, 2001. I can't remember the exact year. There was a head-to-head, and Nas won. Okay. Or at least that's where I'm putting, if draw a line in the sand, I'm standing on Nas' side. And I guarantee you most hip-hop heads that know shit, they're going to be on that other side too. So yeah, this is a short, quick one. I just wanted to get that out of there and say where I stand in the whole matter. So go Nas, you're the shit. You always get underrated. You will always be underrated for some reason. You're just not as flashy or as sucking up to power, I guess, as others. But the people in the real know that Nas is the shit, and he's one of the original badasses of the whole hip hop genre that he's held for 30 freaking years, and he keeps getting better. He's had some new albums come out recently that are fantastic. You should listen to as well. I never gave up on Nas, and neither should you. And this is not to say a direct, by the way. This is not saying fuck you, Jay-Z. I've banged some Jay-Z tunes. I like Jay-Z enough, but I mean, there's no question I would pick Nas's discography over Jay-Z for me. There's no question. The lyricism, the flow, even the cadence. I literally just prefer Nas as an artist. So to see that Ether was below Takeover is bullshit. Ether is either the number one diss track of all time or number two. I would accept number two if you're going to say Kendrick Lamar's number one, because Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, had a huge cultural impact on everyone. It really did. But, like I said, people still say you've been ethered if you've been destroyed in a rap battle. Like, it's that big of a song. So, Nas for all time.